Here we go. Andrew Tate, like promised. I'm not a fan of him. I reacted to him already one time just because he was put in the limelight for me.
Through TikTok, and then it was like a little bit of a conspiracy with him that he was behind some human trafficking, and they caught him in Romania because of the pizza he delivered.
So that's all I knew about him.
And then I wanted to actually watch something from him, and like so many men are huge fans of him, and I find like men from like the Arabian culture who I worked with, they talk amongst each other about him. I've been in on the conversation as well, and they were like, yeah, he's amazing, like he says it how it is, but I think he's too aggressive, spasmic, and loud. I feel like you don't need to behave that way to get your point across, but it works for some people. Maybe he does it for entertainment purposes. But anyway, that's my take on him. A little bit of a spaz and shady dude. I agree with you commenters on that initial video I made reacting to him and trying to get insight on this character. He is shady. I get weird vibes. But apparently he goes on Piers Morgan a lot. I noticed Piers Morgan Uncensored. But anyway, 7 days ago, breaking: Andrew Tate on legal win. Another step closer to complete exoneration. I guess he's quoting him. But yeah, I'll be reacting to that. And I guess we'll see if I'll still have the weird spidey EGBG, GBGB senses that he gives me after this. So yeah, let me just set things up. All right, let's see if this guy's actually as good as he's trying to defend. Was that English?
Suing him in a UK High Court civil case.
Oh,
Four women have accused
back
controversial influencer Andrew Tate will face no criminal charges over allegations made by multiple women who are suing him in a UK High Court civil case. Four women have accused Tate of sexual violence in 2015. The Crown Prosecution Service said today that the legal test to bring criminal charges had not been met in that case specifically. Well, Andrew Tate joins me now to discuss this. Andrew Tate, welcome back to Uncensored. Just to be clear, so for those who have not been following the multiple cases that you've been involved with, tell me what it is that you've been addressed with today in relation to these.
It's so crazy how, what is this, 37 seconds in, and I have a comment. How many men are being milked of their money because of all these allegations? Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know. That's where it ends. But it is ridiculous. It doesn't end there. I just brain fog. Can't think of any more celebrities. But yeah, like it sucks for women who actually do experience sexual assault and rape. Like, I just think this is such a disgusting trend. But again, who knows? We don't know these people from the inside, and we'll never know how they are behind closed doors. But I think so many girls, this is gonna be controversial, but I believe girls do things they don't want to do and then regret it later, especially if things don't pan out the way they expect afterwards, and then they can get dare I say, crazy.
Specific charges.
Yeah, for anyone who's not been following, I can make it very simple. I became the most Googled man in the world, and I was saying things they didn't like, and all of a sudden, every single country I'd ever stepped foot in started attacking me with all these strange legal cases from decades ago.
Oh.
And the process is the punishment. You and I have been speaking for a long time. We're old friends. And every time we speak, there seems to be some new case against me, and you quite, rightly say, we'll wait to see what happens in court. And here we are 4 or 5 years later, and they all fall by the wayside. So every single member of parliament, Vice News, BBC, every single person who said they've spoken to my victims has spoken to one of these girls. And the CPS has just said that these girls don't even have enough evidence to allow me to be charged, proving that they were lying all along. We know that people lie, both men and women, especially where there's a financial incentive. So this is just one step closer to my complete exoneration, sir.
Okay, but as I understand it, and correct me if your understanding is different to this, as I understand it, this is one case.
Like the whole Danny Masterson thing, do you guys, like, it's just crazy how some people are like, he's a rapist, and just based on what they're seeing, but like they don't think outside the box and think, okay, this guy was part of Scientology. Scientology is good at like fabricating things and making things look like staging things. So I really think his religion turned on him, and it's thanks to them he ended up in jail. I know this is about Andrew Tate, but it's an example of like all these women putting him in jail because of hearsay, no actual factual evidence. And it's so crazy that this guy is off the hook, and Danny Masterson, based on hearsay, no factual objective evidence, is in jail for max life, like max penalty, I guess, no probation. I really think the way it played out, I think his Scientology meddled in that, and I don't think he's fighting it. I mean, he is, but he just kind of took it because I think that was his religion.
Case involving 4 women who are concurrently running a high court civil case against you. So they will have their case in a civil case, but it won't be criminal now. But that doesn't impact the other constabulary, which brought 21 charges against you and your brother Tristan earlier this year, right? That's still ongoing and still separate to this.
That's correct. So these 4 girls, they did a crowdfund and they begged the world for money. And they spoke to loads of MPs and Vice News, etc. And it turns out they have no evidence at all. They begged the world for money, and now they're suing me for money. They're desperate for money. And then they went to the police, and the police said they have no evidence. So that's all gone. The reason that the case against me here with these 4 girls was thrown out is because I know who the 4 girls are. So I simply just sent the text messages. Remember, I've been investigated. I haven't resisted any investigations. I'm one of the most investigated men on the planet. I'm more innocent than probably everyone else in that studio because I've been investigated head to toe. I have cooperated with the police. I provided proof. I provided text message conversations that these girls are lying, and the case was thrown out. The other case you're describing with the 20...
Idiots. Like, if he has text message proof, what do you think you're going to get out of this? You're not going to get far. How?
21 charges from forever ago. The CPS won't tell me who the girls are because they know if they tell me who the girls are, then I will prove that the girls are lying before they can charge, remand, drag me through a trial. So their intention is to not tell me who they are, which is incredible to me. That they're saying you're charged and you need to go to jail. We want to remand you. Here's an extradition warrant, but we won't tell you who the people are. So I can't possibly defend myself because that's a setup. That's a matrix attack. But once I find out who they are, that case will once again be dismissed, just like this one was.
Okay.
And
no, I'm going to make the point that I just want to be clear to viewers who are trying to follow all this because it's complicated.
Yeah.
That there
it's
is
complicated,
still...
and I hate to interrupt you, sir, because I want you to talk. The only reason it's complicated is because they're trying very hard to drag up imaginary cases from the sky, and they keep collapsing. It'd be very simple if I...
That was very polite. I like that.
Done something wrong.
Well, it is
if you do something wrong, you go to jail.
No, but I think it's important to use the correct language about what has happened here. It is a significant development. Clearly, the case that was brought against you by Hertfordshire Police involving these 4 women, they have said they couldn't find evidence that met the bar for a criminal prosecution against you. It doesn't mean they can't continue these 4 women to continue the civil case against you, and it has no bearing, as we sit here, on the separate case brought against you by Bedfordshire Police, which the CPS announced separately in May, where it authorised 21 charges against you and Tristan, which included 10 against you relating to 3 alleged victims, including rape, actual bodily harm, human trafficking, and controlling prostitution for gain. Tristan faces 11 charges connected to 1 alleged victim, including rape, actual bodily harm, and human trafficking. So that is ongoing. Nothing that's happened today has any bearing on that prosecution by Bedfordshire Police. That's correct.
That's correct. And the reason that's ongoing, unlike the other one from Hertfordshire Police, is because they won't tell me who these victims are. And they won't because they know I'll get it thrown out in a week. I'll just say, well, here's the text messages proving they're lying. That's the end of the case, just like happened with the Bedfordshire one. So, correct. These girls can still sue me civilly. I can sue you civilly for having a terrible shirt, sir. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, they're desperate for money. I'm a very famous, very rich, very handsome, very charismatic, very well-known, very tall, very sexy individual.
Oh my God. No comment.
Also, people want my money, and that's fine. They're going to lose in civil case too because they know they've done nothing wrong, and the CPS has already said I've done nothing wrong twice now.
I knew men have egos, but holy moly. He definitely talks to too many girls.
So it is what it is. It's just, it's quite interesting, Piers. If I was truly guilty of crimes, imagine how frustrating it would be to watch me for 4 years never go to jail. I mean, it's obvious to the whole world now that the process is the punishment for me, that I've never done anything wrong. Everyone knows I've done nothing wrong. The whole purpose of this is just to drag me to court, slander.
Well, what we learned in yesterday's reaction video with, what's his name? Crusader? Billy Crusader? What the hell was his name? Miller. Anyway, yeah, like, censorship is there when they don't want you to hear the truth. And this guy is not a bullshitter. He just is so blunt, honest. They want to... I don't know what world we're living in, what the hell is going on, but people don't like the truth. They don't like honesty. They love La La Land. So once they hear this, if you guys, recent events have shown you, like, highlighted to you how isolated the liberals are from reality. So get out of here with your reality. Let's stay in our little circus bubble.
Me in the media, make me spend money on lawyers, tie me up in litigation, restrict my movements, and that's all they're trying to do. The process itself is the punishment. They know I've done nothing wrong from the beginning, and you have sons too. And I like to believe that if your son was accused by all these different states from all around the world of all these heinous acts for 4 years, and he had to suffer jail and house arrest and lose all his money and have his name slandered, 4 years later, when all the cases started falling by the wayside, because the Los Angeles case is also fallen apart and collapsed.
Nice.
You yourself as a father would be standing there saying, this is incredible, this is insane, that we have an innocent man here who's just endlessly attacked.
Well, look, as I've said to you repeatedly, I don't know whether you're guilty or not. I follow the process. I'm a journalist. I don't look upon it as a father or someone that knows you or any of these things. To me, the fair and proper way is called due process. And my only concern with you is, have you been afforded due process? What is interesting to me is the length of time this is all taking. That doesn't seem to me to be normal. You do hear stories like it, but it seems to me out of the norm, and it's certainly significant today that the criminal prosecution against you by one of these 2 British police constabularies has now been dropped, leaving a civil case there. That is clearly not an irrelevant fact as you and I debate this whole scenario surrounding you. But my question with the Bedfordshire police, from a legal perspective, are they obliged to tell you who the accusers are?
Well, that's what's so interesting. So You made a fantastic point there about this taking so long. The reason it's taking so long is because these cases are imaginary and they're stretching to the very, very limits of the law to try and pin something on my name. If I had done something wrong, it wouldn't be taking so long. So it's pretty obvious to anyone with a brain now that this is all a set.
Anyone who's seen Making a Murderer will know how messed up the U.S. justice system is. Holy moly. I remember like asking all my friends who were in school for law, like, what do you think? Oh my God, is he innocent or not? Like, and their answer was like, honestly, it's so hard to judge the USA because their system is so corrupted. So to this day, I don't know. Is Andrew, was it? No. What was that guy's name? Making a Murderer. Anyway, I think he was innocent. I don't know what proof they had for him to be imprisoned.
Up from the state. As for Bedfordshire, they are legally obliged to tell me who the victims are.
And don't at me with the
supposed
blood.
Alleged victims.
I don't believe it.
But they only have to do that once I have been remanded. And if I go to the UK, I'll be remanded after this extradition warrant is executed. But that can't be executed currently because the Romanian state has a case against me for tax evasion, which will take at least 10 to 11 years. So this is something that's going to take 10 or 11 more years to eventually be satisfied. It's pretty ridiculous all in all. The whole thing is asinine, and I've done nothing wrong. And it's just crazy that the process itself is the punishment. We're going through all this garbage for so many years. And I like to think, and I respect your point of view. You made a very great point. You're a journalist. You follow the updates. Completely correct. That's a very professional way to handle it. But I think also we're human. And from a humanistic perspective, anybody with a functioning mind can look at what's happened to me across these last 4 years and come to the conclusion they were out to get me. They don't have much. They're desperate to try and pin something on me, and they can't seem to make it stick. And that's why it's taking so long. Nothing's really happening. A lot of these cases are falling by the wayside. If I was truly guilty of anything, considering how much they don't like me, I think we both agree I'd be in jail.
The case that you mentioned in Romania,
True.
which has to be resolved in totality before you can be extradited back to the UK to face these charges from Bedfordshire Police. My understanding is that that whole case is ongoing. It's not just relating to tax issues, that the whole case involving the human trafficking, rape allegations and so on, that is still unresolved. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, so what happened there is in December of last year, the entire case under the Biden admin was thrown back to prosecutors for irregular evidence, basically corruption. The entire case file was littered with corruption. They had lied and made multiple mistakes. They had made false translations. They had made false documents for false girls who didn't exist. They lied from head to toe. It's the kind of thing that a prosecutor would go to jail for in a serious country, but of course we're in Romania. And even the Romanian court threw the entire file back and said there's irregularities in evidence. Basically, it was all corrupt. And the entire file was thrown back to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor was told he has to fix this file.
So scary.
Here we stand nearly 11 months later. The file is just sitting on his desk. He hasn't fixed anything. He hasn't changed anything. And the reason for that is because how can you fix things you've made up? You can't. So he's
right, but
stuck
what
with
is
this
important?
file.
Right, but this is why the language around this is important, because there are people already, I see it all over social media, who are seizing this development today, which is a not insignificant development. That's why I wanted to talk to you. But they're seizing on it to say Andrew Tate's been cleared of all wrongdoing. And they're saying he was cleared of all wrongdoing in Romania, but that's not actually technically correct as we sit here.
Well, technically, yes, it is actually. The case was sent to court. The indictment was put together and sent to court. It went to the preliminary chamber, which is the Romanian version of checking if there's even a case to go to trial. And it was rejected by the preliminary chamber for irregularities in the evidence, saying that this is a falsified case. This is a political case where you've just lied about evidence, prosecutors. Give me something real. That's what the judge said. It's gone back to his desk for 11 months. And what's happened to it since, I'm not sure.
Right, but it's
now,
so my point being, it's unresolved. And that is the reason. Well, hang on. And that's why you've not been extradited back to the UK to face the other charges. I mean, that's from a legal perspective, that is where you are, right?
By Romanian law, when the case is rejected in the preliminary chamber, it goes back on the prosecutor's desk and it can remain there for up to 10 years to basically be tried again at his discretion.
Oh.
So I understand he's going to try again at some point, perhaps with some of the financial crime. As we all know, I have lots and lots of money. I'm very, very rich. So the Romanians seem to be unhappy about parts of that. So perhaps he's going to send it back without the human trafficking and just the tax. Or maybe he'll leave a bit of the human trafficking in there. I'm not sure what he's going to eventually send it back with. But when he does send it back, that means it's 10 years before the British state can even attempt to extradite me. So I'll have to just drive around.
I wonder what information and proof they currently hold to make that claim and to try and persecute him for human trafficking. Like, that can't be something they just came up with out of thin air. So I guess I need to find that one video that will have all that.
Around Transylvania in my supercars for 10 years while dealing with the Romanian court system.
Well, I mean, that does seem to be a preposterous situation if indeed they did decide to string this out for many more years, which of course, look, like I said to you, I don't know about your guilt or otherwise.
I mean, if they're making money, they're going to. I don't know how it works, but I know the world loves to milk it for financial gain.
I simply follow the news as it develops. But certainly, if you're one of the women that are still awaiting the prosecution for the Bedfordshire charges, the idea that they would, just in terms of due process for them, the idea that their allegations would not be tested in court until potentially 10 years have elapsed on the Romania case, I mean, I'm sure you would agree that isn't due process, that isn't fair on them either.
Well, I would agree that this whole thing from the beginning has been a farce. I would agree that, yes, the prosecutor now has a choice. He can either throw the entire file out and I get extradited to the UK, but then the Romanian state owes me a whole bunch of money for false imprisonment. So they can't do that. So they have to send something to court, of course. And that's going to take 10 years. So this whole thing from the beginning has been a farce. The whole thing's been a setup from the beginning. The process is the punishment from the beginning. I've never done anything wrong from the beginning. And when we first met, when you were here and we were discussing Israel, Gaza, and all those things, all of our discussions were around this Romania case, which was thrown out after our meeting. And now we have this new British case, which popped up after our meeting. And one of them already got thrown out already. And then there's another one, which they're trying to extradite me on, but they won't tell me who the victims are. I mean, Piers, if they said to your son 20 years ago he hurt a girl, but we won't tell you who, where, when, we won't tell you anything. We'll just say 20 years ago you hurt a girl, and we won't give you any details. Of course you're going to sit there and go, well, this sounds made up. I don't even know where this is supposed to have happened. I don't even know the person's name. This is obviously a farce. The whole thing's been a farce from the beginning. And just so you understand, the primary objective of all of this is twofold. One is to stop me voluntarily going to England because they know I'm a political force and they know I'll overthrow Labour. And secondly...
And I'm telling you, so many guys idolize him. So many guys at work talk about him, quote him, and like when I got in on the conversation, they're like, oh my God, let me tell you, he's amazing. He does this, 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 and people hate this, 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 because he's like this truthful, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, you hear only positive things from his fans, his fanboys. But then, yeah, I just can't help but see these cases. That's the only, like, that was my first introduction to him, is this whole human trafficking thing. So, yeah, I totally believe that the media likes to plaster people dirty. If I could say that in the best way. Like, that's the best way I could describe it. Just paint them dirty. And, yeah. I believe he even made a video of like, we're next after Charlie Kirk's assassination. I'm surprised with how much he faces, from what I'm hearing daily, that he still feels safe.
The main reason is so that every time my name is said, people talk about the allegations against me as opposed to my ideas. They don't want anyone to talk about my fantastic ideas or my fantastic influence. They want people to talk about the allegations against me, which is why they try and keep these allegations open and going on for so long. There is no due process, Piers, because there is no guilt. There isn't even any victims in law of this. The
reality is we don't know that yet. And in relation to your ideas, as you heard from me to your face in our last interview, which got pretty passionate, as it often does, I don't share some of your ideas. I think some of them are reprehensible. But it is a fact, as I say to people, that when I walk around, I'd say 1 in 5 young men who come up to me want to talk about you. And you know what they ask me?
I don't know why I don't believe him. I feel like he's devil's advocate. Like, he says he doesn't agree with him, but I don't know. I think he brings people on the show to say things that he can't. I really do. That's what I get with how much he lets them go on a rant and how often he invites them back. Just my opinion.
Is he guilty? And I don't know. But I do know they're going to see headlines like today, and they're going to see it immediately spun incorrectly by a lot of people on both sides, people that hate you and people that love you, and they're going to spin it to suit their agenda. And that is why it's really important to me as a journalist to keep to the facts as we know them. So the question about Romania, if they decide to make a final decision about you, say for argument's sake, they drop the charges against you tomorrow, you would then be presumably immediately extradited to the UK. Is that your understanding?
I don't think it would work immediately. They would have to file to drop the charges, and they would have to justify to drop the charges, and they'd have to explain why they put me through all of these things while they don't have a case. And then Cheto would come involved because the European court would have to get involved for why I was falsely imprisoned, and I was locked up for 3 years, and they'd owe me about $100 million in false and lost income. And then there'd be a whole case around that. All my judicial processes.
Oh my God, prison is so scary. It's such a scary thought. And like with this ID thing that's coming out right now, I feel like I would probably get arrested with so much of what I've said, so much that I repost. It's a scary world we're walking into.
Would have to finish in Romania before I could be extradited. So
digital
either
ID,
way, it's a minimum of 10 years.
Is your instinct that you don't know who's brought these allegations to Bedfordshire police in these 21 charges, but we know it's 3 women in your case, 1 in Tristan's case. Is it your belief that all of those women are more likely than not to have worked for you and Tristan?
Absolutely not. I know every girl who worked for me, and they all contacted me and defended me. Every single girl who's ever worked for me has defended me. What happened is,
that's good.
When the Romanian case started to fall apart after we were let out of jail, and the British Foreign Office, who wrote to the Romanians and said, destroy these guys, the Romanians said there's nothing to destroy them with. Then the National Crime Agency launched something called Operation Moonwalk, and they called 2,000 women who had ever known me. My gardener's daughter, my neighbors who I used to live next to, 2,000 women. And amongst those 2,000, they managed to find 3 girls who, of course, are lying for financial gain. And they've come up with this entire bogus case. And I've said, okay, who are the girls? And they're saying, we're not telling you. We're not going to tell you when. We're not going to tell you where. We're not going to tell you who. We're just going to say you've done bad things 15 years ago. And it's a whole big farce from the beginning. If you call 2,000 women who a man has ever known throughout his entire life, of course you can find 3 liars, considering that 20% of people are on antidepressants and 10% of people have mental health issues.
Yeah, and like if there was hard blood between you and the girl, if you guys had a bad breakup, if you made a stink out of her life, like she would definitely come hot blazing, guns blazing to tear you down. If she wasn't able to hit you with her car while you were biking somewhere, walking somewhere, this is a sweet opportunity for her to finally get her psychotic revenge.
I'm surprised they only found 3 of the 2,000. But it's a whole farce from the beginning. It's never going to stand up in court. It's not fair. And if they did the same thing to your sons, called 2,000 women they'd ever interacted with, they'd find 3 girls to lie too. That's just human nature.
Okay, Piers Morgan already said I'm not looking at this from an emotional point of view. I don't like that this is the 3rd time he brought up his son when he pretty much made it clear, like, don't involve my son in this. Let's keep this professional.
Sure. So the whole thing's been a setup from the beginning. None of it's ever been fair. None of it's ever been fair.
Your UK solicitor, Andrew Ford, welcomed today's decision and said, despite much external pressure, the evidence speaks for itself in this case, and the Crown Prosecution Service have rightly confirmed the evidence is inadequate to provide any realistic prospect of conviction. The reason the CPS made this decision will become obvious when the evidence is played out during these civil proceedings. So, I mean, what is he suggesting there? What do you believe is going to come out of the civil case, which is going to make this decision by the CPS obvious?
Well, I have an upcoming civil case, so I have to be careful what I say. But in a hypothetical scenario, if girls are going to accuse a man of rape or sexual assault, and then continue to see him for years afterwards, and continue to text him, and continue to buy him birthday presents, and continue to beg to want to be with him, and continue to call his phone and say,
doesn't she sound guilty of being a liar and trying to set him up? Like, what the freak are you thinking, girls? Like, I don't get this behavior in girls. Oh my. I understand, like, okay, when you're like 16, young, first breakup, like, you can make your mistakes and whatever, be an amateur breakupper. Amateur dumpy. But, like, look at the age this guy is. Oh my god. Girls, you need to do better.
Outside his house when he doesn't reply to them, and then start asking him for money and getting very angry when they don't get money. I think it's pretty clear to see the motivations behind a false criminal accusation. I don't think anybody with a functioning mind, is going to be confused about what.
But this guy is such an easy target because of this. Like Nick Fuentes said, he doesn't date around, he's waiting for marriage. Like, this is exactly why. It makes sense. It's so easy to tear someone down with their romantic life, their dating life. Like, he made himself an easy target by being a womanizer.
Why this is happening. And the Bedfordshire case is garbage too. All of this is garbage.
Like, he shouldn't have mixed politics with his private life. Like, he should have, if he's like such a strong force in politics, he really should have kept things under wraps. Yeah, I think Nick Fuentes does it right in comparison to him. So yeah, he kind of dug himself this hole. I feel bad.
Piers, I understand you're a journalist. I understand you have to be very careful what you say. However, you are a father to sons, and it's very unfair that we live in a world now where any man can just be unfairly attacked, unfairly lied about.
But I agree. After that Danny Masterson thing, I wrote my friend who also has sons. He's a guy. And I was like, holy smokes, I cannot believe that they put a man in prison for 30 years max and no probation based on hearsay. Like, it's so mental, and it worries me about my boys. But again, I feel like, yeah, these people are easy targets. So, I don't know, maybe my boys just need to focus on sports and just sports and freaking, I don't know, just don't date until you're 60. I don't know. It's crazy out there.
And they have to suffer the process of this entire insanity for years before eventually it turns out the girls lied. Because what happens to those liars?
Well, look, I think it's very unfair. I think it's very unfair if anyone doesn't get due process, whether that's a male who's been accused of things, a woman who's making the allegations. The legal system should work properly, and there are far too many examples where it doesn't work properly. I don't know in your case, like I keep saying, I have no idea how this is all going to finally unravel. All we do know as a fact today is that so far you have not been convicted of any crimes. That is the only fact that we know for sure.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
And that's a very important fact, because if we keep in mind I was enemy number one of the system, I was the most Googled man on the planet, that federal agencies from 3 different countries, America, UK, Germany, Poland, Romania, 5 different countries have investigated me.
Poland.
I handed over all of my electronics. If I had done anything, if I had smoked weed, if I had taken steroids, if I had gone to an orgy, if I had had a homosexual experience, if I had done anything, all of these things would be all over the paper. And what do they have on me? Nothing. I'm cleaner than 99% of the people you walk past in the mall. Because if anyone else had their lives investigated to the level mine's been, you'd see a whole bunch of skeletons in their closet. I haven't done anything. I raise my children. I work hard. I train hard. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I haven't done anything. And they're very disappointed by how clean my life is. And that's the truth, because they have been desperate to put me in a cell, desperate. And they've given endless.
But doesn't he go on these like dating chat shows and like he reveals all this information about like sex and, you know, relationships, dating? I feel like if he just stuck to politics and didn't get personal with it, they wouldn't be able to put a target on him. So I think that might have been a boo-boo on his part.
The NCA, Operation Moonwalk, Britain, as broke as it is, dedicated hundreds of thousands of pounds to trying to put me in jail, as if they don't have other things to pay for as the streets of London run with blood. They have tried so hard, and they are failing. I am an innocent man. It is not that hard to put a guilty man in jail.
Final question. You've talked before about having a relationship of kind with some of the Trump family. Have you heard from any of them recently?
No, I think they've got much bigger concerns than my cases. I don't think they're very interested in any of my cases. I've always been a Trump fan. I think he's, you know, the best choice for America. I think he's doing a fantastic thing.
Yeah, he said that right. He's the best choice.
But they're not interested in trying to help me in any way. When I went to America, when I first got released from Romania, I didn't hear from them either. So I haven't heard from them. But I think that perhaps a lot of Republicans understand, because of what happened to our great president, that the legal systems are very often weaponized by the enemies of truth to attack people who have done nothing wrong. Remember, Trump himself went through a whole bunch of bogus legal cases. Trump himself was actually convicted.
Yeah, like so many people in America are like, our president is a felon. But like, just unlock this, think outside the box, and you'll see the man is being set up. Like, I wish I understood like how people's minds can be blockaded from seeing facts and common sense.
I haven't even been convicted. Trump himself was convicted of all these stupid allegations and heinous crimes on very little evidence. So I think most functioning people now understand the legal system can be weaponized, and they understand that what's happening to me is very clearly lawfare. I'm very clearly a victim of a corrupt system because I'm speaking the truth against the matrix, and anybody with a functioning mind can see that.
Well, it
have a
remains to be
functioning
seen
mind.
whether any of what you just said is correct. What we do know with Donald Trump, actually, just to be technically correct, he wasn't convicted of anything other than one set of charges relating to a one-night stand with a porn star, which I thought at the time was utterly ridiculous overreach against a president of the United States who had only recently been in office, and made a mockery of the justice system in America. The other cases, as we know, they are no longer active. They were discontinued. But that particular one that they convicted him of, I thought was a complete farce.
Absolute ridiculous overreach of the American judicial system. It was an absolute ridiculous overreach of the British judicial system to put people in jail for Facebook messages. And it's an absolute ridiculous overreach of the Romanian judicial system to lock me in my house for 3 years and then have the case thrown out because they made up the victims, because it was all completely fake. Please understand, in any other country, which isn't so corrupt, prosecutors would be in jail for what they did to me here. You can't just make up victims and make up papers and print out lies and put people in jail.
Whoa,
let me ask you a question. Just talking to you today, you sound very calm, very direct, completely different to how you were in our last interview, where you started ranting quite regularly about all sorts of stuff. And at the end of it, we got into it about your views about women's place in society. You said they should have no right to vote, they should have no power, they should not have any job, they should stay at home, and so on. And I got a lot of.
All right. Well, if we stay home, like me, I'm very isolated from the world. I only know what my algorithm brings me. I don't work. I very much so agree I should not vote. I don't know what's going on out there. I only know what my husband's telling me. So yeah, if anything, he should vote because he's firsthand experiencing it, and that's his own experience. But yeah, I don't think I should vote. I would probably vote on his behalf if he can't vote, just to count it as his vote. Does that make sense? But I agree with that, and only if we're not working and just staying home.
Feedback to that, which was whatever you think of Andrew Tate, whether you think he's guilty or not of his charges, and we just don't know yet because they're still ongoing, but whatever you think of him, he does himself absolutely no favors in the way that he talks about women. And he does it so brazenly and with such apparent pride.
So if he's talking smack about women, just makes it so cheesy and obvious and tacky that of course he's going to be slammed with these allegations. It's so obvious. Anyone with a brain will see right through that.
You know, when you think back to our last exchange, are you entirely comfortable with the way that you talked about women in that interview?
Absolutely. I think you just misunderstand me. Women are very powerful creatures. In fact, they're magical creatures because they give life. And a woman's power is to give life and to be a feminine woman who is the head of a beautiful family and to have as many children with the man she loves.
Oh no, according to the My Big Fat Greek Wedding, men are the head of the house, we are the neck. We tell them where to look, where to turn to make their final decisions. Basically, we're like the little birdie on their shoulder telling them, like, this is the lowdown. I think your decision should be this. So, yeah, I agree. We are all that.
Possible. That is what women are fantastic at. That is what society needs.
Yes,
our birth
I
rates
agree.
are collapsing. And that's what inspires.
Yeah, I keep hearing about these birth rates collapsing and that, like, to make the human population not go extinct or whatever, or I think it's like white women, they need 2 babies. Every white woman currently in our population should have minimum 2 babies so that white people don't go extinct. Correct me if that's wrong, but I read that. It's making me want to have 2 more babies.
There's men to be the best selves.
Any
When men
reason
see they
really
a wife
to have
who's
more
had their
babies,
children,
I'm
that
there.
makes a man want
I
to be
love
a good
babies.
man for that woman. I never said women are powerless. I said that protecting society is the job of men. Police officers should be men, and that the voting and the political matters and the judicial system, a lot of that should be men, because we're evolutionarily designed to protect territory in a way that females perhaps aren't.
Oh my God! Now I get it. Oh. Yeah. Women are not gonna like to hear that. I like it. Like, I want more people to listen to him. I hate the lady who makes women go to work and for us to get taxed on all that work that we put in and then come home and work. I mean, I've never had to experience that, but kudos to the ladies that go to work and then hold a household front down.
And it's our job to protect women. We're not trying to protect ourselves. A man's trying to protect his wife, protect his kids, protect his society, protect his town. And I think that the reason that the Western societies are in such trouble now is that everything is conflated. The men are doing the things that women are actually good at innately, and the women are doing things that the men are innately good at. I believe we have God-given talents, and I believe if we all stick to what we're naturally good at, it will optimize our society. It's not a matter of hating women, Piers. It's not a matter of saying that women have no power. It's not a matter of trying to subjugate women.
Yeah, like, why do they assume, like, directly, quickly go to, wow, he hates women? When really, he's thinking of us, like, thinking the best for us. Yeah, I feel safer at home. I don't want to be a cop. I mean, there are women, obviously, who have this calling. I don't know why. Like, the only people I want to be a cop for are my kids. Like, I will mama bear the shit out of a stranger. Don't at me. Don't come at me. The claws will make an appearance. My lesbian hands, remember?
At all. It's a matter of protection. It's a matter of me understanding as a man, I have certain duties and certain jobs to do. And I believe a woman has certain duties and certain jobs to do. And that's why I have so many fantastic relationships with women. That's why I have so many children. That's why I take care of them so fantastically and keep them safe. That's why they look up to me and admire me and love me. If I was truly...
Holy moly, he's so confident.
misogynist, I wouldn't be suffering from all of these offspring and all of these beautiful relationships which I have. So
You know,
I think it's just a matter of misunderstanding.
As you were talking, I just reminded that this weekend the England women's rugby team became world champions, and I watched that game. I don't think they need any help from you, and I don't think they need any guidance about what a woman's place in the world should be. They're world champions because they play a sport at a supremely elite level. I watched it and could not believe the staggering amount of skill and power and pace on display in a women's rugby match, and that's to their great credit. So they shouldn't all be kept at home, because actually that's not...
They were playing against other women. What the fart is he talking about? It was woman against woman. It wasn't a woman's team against a man's team.
What most women want to do. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Andrew Tate, I appreciate you coming back on Uncensored. I will follow, as I said to you, I will follow the facts, and if they change, they change. I will keep talking to you, and we'll see where it all leads.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Before we go, can I just ask a very simple question? I'm curious as to your input, because I do consider you a professional who knows a lot about the world. Do you agree there's something very suspicious about the criminal cases involved? Just suspicious. Do you think something strange has happened?
Well, I don't think it even matters what I think about it. I think what matters is, have you, at the moment, been convicted of any crime? People say, why do you platform Andrew Tate? And I said, why shouldn't I? They said, because he's a criminal. He's an abuser. He's this and this. And I say, well, actually, as things stand, he has not been convicted of any of those crimes. He's been accused by a lot of people. But the significance of today is that a whole police case against you in one police force has, from a criminal perspective...
I feel like if you're loud and so open to conversation like he is, you're going to get arrows thrown at you. So he's, once again, an easy target.
Been dropped.
He's a welcoming target.
Reach the bar for criminal prosecution. That is noteworthy. That's why I've got you on today to discuss it, and I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much, sir.
Well, joining me in the studio now to react to this breaking news is Samara Gill, host of Triggered, along with historian and commentator Tessa Dunlop. So, Tessa, welcome back.
Okay, well, I guess that's that. I will see you guys with video number 5 tomorrow. It might be Shoe on Head. It might be Hermes. I don't know. We'll see. I'll leave it the suspense to you. But going back to what we just watched together, I think I got some clarity on Andrew Tate. Yes, he's rough around the edges. And I think he's maturing. I think because of all this stuff that he's experienced in the last few years, like home, what the heck is it called? Home prison? What is that called? Oh my God, what is my English today? I'm sorry, but home, it almost clicked in my mind. It's like that movie Disturbia, where the kid is, no, still don't got it. But anyway, yeah, I think he's, like, I'm warming up to him. He seemed very calm in this interview. I guess I always kind of thought he was barking because he's, like, talking so many words at a mile. But no, I think he's grown on me. And now that everything's been pretty much debunked, he's not really convicted of any of these allegations, I can start trusting him and his word. So I never really judged him indefinitely, like, this is what I think of him and that's that. I was unsure with what I thought of him and just basing it on the little controversies. But yeah, they've been proven to be a farce, and I will probably watch more of his stuff and hear what he has to say. I don't think I'm interested in his dating stuff. I mean, if he can relate it back to politics, it makes sense, but like dating specifically, like my last reaction video, I don't know if I really care for that, because obviously he's on a different planet, like financially, environmentally, so I don't think I can compare lives with him, but he does get a lot of the normie people stuff, so that's pretty cool. Kudos to that millionaire for getting it right. Like, mad respect to the wealthy who get it, get what it is to be a normie in this modern day slavery that we're being sold as a lifestyle. I speak for all of you hardworking men. I am comfy, cushiony at home, so I'm fine and everything's delightful. I'm comfortable. I have a roof over my head. The heater's on. Happy family. We're all fed. So yes, very blessed and grateful for that. But I speak for you guys. Oops, sorry, microphone. I speak for you guys who are struggling, living on your own, trying to make ends meet. So yeah, I'm glad you have this guy speaking out for you. And I see why guys are so happy to hear from him and idolize him, because yeah, he, as a wealthy man, freaking gets it. And he says it how it is and how it should be, so that all you men feel that greatness as you deserve. Anyway, girls be cray. I hope no one out there that's watching has any crazy allegations and drama with the mamas and the ladies, because yeah, we can be crazy. I'll be the first to say, but I feel like you are exempt to crazy after your first breakup. After that, you must learn. But again, I have an uncle too who's like almost, maybe he's in his 50s now. I lost contact with him. He's my mom's brother. His wife passed away, but such a bad dating record, and he doesn't change from relationship to relationship. It has the same outcome, and there's no change, no improvement. So you can get old, but it doesn't mean you're gonna mature. So it goes the same to girls. I really think more people should not jump to the relationship, but just, not find yourself, but repair yourself. So your next relationship is new you. No baggage. On that note, see you tomorrow.